Tonight, we step quietly through the foggy streets of Victorian London, where gas lamps flicker like faint whispers, and the soft patter of horse hooves on cobblestones echoes through the night. Imagine the world of delicate etiquette, hidden glances, and the invisible threads that guide every action, word, and glance. Here, even the gentlest sigh could ripple through society, and every gesture carried weight beyond measure. As you settle in, whether you're watching from the US in the quiet hours of evening, from Europe with twilight lingering outside your window, or from Canada and beyond, where the night wraps softly around your home, take a moment to breathe deeply, relax, and let yourself drift into the world of Victorian life. Like the story, your mind can wander slowly through these streets and parlors, noticing the textures of velvet, the faint scent of candle wax, and the hush of whispered conversations. Before we step further into this story, make sure you're comfortable, perhaps with a soft blanket around you, a gentle drink at hand, and a quiet space where the gentle unfolding of history can soothe and captivate your imagination. Then, when you're ready, we will begin our journey into what it was truly like to live under the rules of Victorian society. In the heart of a quiet, lamplit London street, a young woman named Eliza walks slowly, her boots clicking softly against the damp cobblestones. She wears a modest yet elegant dress, its dark green silk catching the faint glow of gaslight, and a delicate lace collar that brushes lightly against her neck. Each step is measured, careful not just to avoid slipping on the uneven stones, but because she knows eyes may follow. Even in this quiet hour, the air carries the subtle mixture of scents typical of a Victorian street, the faint tank of coal smoke from the chimneys above, the damp earth and brick that line the narrow lanes, and the occasional hint of freshly baked bread wafting from a nearby bakery preparing for the morning. Eliza's hands, gloved in soft white cotton, cling gently to her small reticule, a purse of embroidered fabric that seems almost fragile in her careful grip. Even in the stillness, she senses the weight of expectation. In Victorian society, her every movement, how she walks, how she holds her head, even the direction of her gaze carries meaning. A subtle tilt of the chin might indicate confidence, while a downcast eye signals respect and humility. These rules are invisible yet binding, shaping every interaction, every thought, every choice. Tonight, as Eliza passes under the soft haze of a street lamp, she can hear faint laughter from a distant gathering, perhaps a private soiree, a circle of acquaintances exchanging pleasantries and secret judgments. The sound feels both inviting and daunting, a reminder that while society offers comfort and structure, it also scrutinizes relentlessly. She draws a slow breath, letting the cool air fill her lungs, and feels the comforting rhythm of the city at night, the steady pulse beneath the veneer of propriety. She rounds a corner and notices the intricate detail of a carved doorway, ivy curling gently across its stone frame. Her fingers itch to touch it, to feel the cold texture, but she resists. Even the smallest act of unthinking curiosity could be noted in this world. Instead, she lets her eyes linger just long enough to appreciate the craftsmanship. The way sunlight, now gone, replaced by the amber glow of gaslight wood, once danced across the carvings in the afternoon. Eliza moves on, a small figure in the vast web of London life, where every person plays a role, consciously or not. She thinks of the day's lessons in etiquette, the hours spent perfecting the tilt of a hat, the curl of a glove, the gentle modulation of her voice. Each skill is a shield, a tool, and a key to navigating a society that prizes appearances above all else. And yet, in these quiet moments of night, walking alone through the misted streets, there is a fragile freedom and intimacy with herself that the daylight never allows. The morning light in Victorian London often arrives like a soft sigh, filtering through narrow soot-stained windows and painting muted gold across wooden floors. In a small townhouse, Eliza awakens to the delicate sounds of the city stirring outside. The faint clatter of a cart rolling over cobblestones, the rhythmic call of a street vendor advertising his wares, and the soft cooing of pigeons perched on the windowsill. Her room is a haven of quiet order, its pastel wallpaper adorned with tiny floral patterns, a canopy bed draped in lace that rustles faintly as she stretches. Every object in the room is placed with intention. A small porcelain vase holds a single violet, its petals perfectly arranged, and a polished writing desk gleams in the corner, awaiting letters yet to be written. The air carries the faint scent of lavender from the sachets tucked into drawers, mingling with the lingering warmth of a candle left burning the night before. Eliza rises slowly, feeling the weight of expectation already pressing gently against her shoulders. In Victorian society, mornings are not simply a time to awaken, they are a performance. Every movement, from the way she smooths her hair to the careful alignment of her shoes, is observed, judged, and catalogued in invisible mental ledgers by those around her. Even her reflection in the polished mirror demands attention, coaxing her to inspect the tilt of her head, the calmness of her gaze, and the softness of her expression. Breakfast is a quiet, deliberate ritual. Her mother, a woman of poised elegance and impeccable manners, oversees the arrangement of the table. Silver spoons glint under the morning light, and delicate china cups are aligned with precision. Toast is buttered slowly, jam applied in measured strokes, and tea poured with careful grace. Conversation is gentle but structured, a dance of words that conveys intellect without impropriety, curiosity without overstepping boundaries. A misstep, even a seemingly minor one, could ripple outward, leaving subtle consequences that linger throughout the day. Outside, the streets begin to hum with life. Carriages rattle past, their horses' hooves clicking in rhythm with the distant toll of a church bell. Shopkeepers sweep the dust from their doorsteps, their faces smeared faintly with soot and sweat. In the marketplace, the smells of fresh bread, roasted coffee, and iron from the blacksmith's forge mingle, creating a complex tapestry of sensation that the Victorians experienced as part of their daily reality. Eliza takes a small walk after breakfast, moving deliberately along the narrow sidewalks. Each encounter is a subtle negotiation, a nod to a neighbor, a soft greeting to a shopkeeper, the careful avoidance of those whose intentions might not align with propriety. In this world, small gestures hold immense weight. A smile could suggest familiarity, a frown signal disapproval. A glance lingered too long, and whispers could form like shadows behind closed doors. Even in the midst of daily routines, there is a quiet beauty to the order, the rhythm, and the unspoken language of etiquette. Eliza inhales deeply, feeling the cool morning air fill her lungs and the steady, comforting pulse of the city beneath her feet. The rules of Victorian life may be strict and sometimes stifling, but within them lies a strange kind of structure, a framework that shapes each day into a careful, measured story. The afternoon sun filters softly through the lace curtains of the drawing room, casting intricate patterns across the polished wooden floor. Eliza sits quietly in a high-backed chair, her posture impeccable, yet her mind drifts gently, wandering through the labyrinth of societal expectations she inhabits. A fire crackles low in the hearth, its warmth mingling with the faint scent of burning oak, giving the room a calm, comforting glow. On the small table beside her, an assortment of embroidery threads lies in neat bundles. Her hands, gloved in thin white cotton, move with deliberate precision, pulling the needle through the fabric, creating tiny, perfect stitches that mirror the discipline of her daily life. Each stitch seems to whisper the unspoken rules she has absorbed since childhood, the careful balance between expression and restraint, between desire and propriety. Through the window, she notices a maid passing briskly along the gravel path of the garden. The maid carries a watering can, her skirts swishing softly, the rhythm of her steps echoing faintly in the quiet house. Every member of the household knows their place, and every movement, however small, contributes to the harmony of the domestic world. The distinction between servant and lady is felt in every glance, every tone of voice, and every measured gesture. A visitor is announced, a distant cousin from a neighboring borough, invited under the guise of a polite afternoon call. Eliza rises smoothly, feeling the familiar tightening in her chest, a blend of excitement and apprehension. In Victorian society, visitors are both a delight and a test. Conversation must be lively, yet restrained, intelligent, yet not overly forward. Each word is weighed for its potential impact, each laugh measured to ensure it is neither excessive nor absent. As the cousin enters, carrying the faint fragrance of rosewater and freshly laundered linen, Eliza offers a graceful curtsy, her dress sweeping lightly across the floor. They exchange soft greetings, and the conversation begins, a delicate dance of pleasantries, observations, and careful disclosures. The cousin remarks on the garden, noting the blooming roses and the neatly clipped hedges, and Eliza responds with quiet enthusiasm, mindful not to appear too eager or too reserved. Time seems to slow in these moments, stretching the afternoon into a sequence of small, deliberate interactions. The ticking of a grandfather clock fills the spaces between words, a gentle reminder of the passing hours and the constant rhythm of life constrained by social expectation. Outside, the distant hum of the city continues, but within the walls of the drawing room, every detail from the arrangement of chairs to the placement of a silver tray contributes to a sense of order, security, and unspoken control. Even as conversation flows, Eliza feels a quiet longing for the freedom that lies just beyond the boundaries of etiquette, a space where spontaneity is allowed, and the heart can move without consideration for perception. But in these moments of careful composure, there is also a strange comfort, the knowledge that every rule, every expectation, provides a roadmap through a world that can otherwise feel overwhelming, vast, and unknowable. The late afternoon sun begins its slow descent, turning the sky outside Eliza's window into a gentle watercolor of pink and gold. Shadows lengthen across the polished floors of the house, and the world takes on a softer, quieter hue. Eliza moves toward the piano in the corner of the drawing room, a gift from her parents meant to cultivate refinement and grace. The instrument's surface gleams in the fading light, its keys worn smooth from countless rehearsals and carefully measured performances. She lifts the lid slowly, the gentle creak echoing softly in the otherwise hushed room. Her fingers hover above the keys for a moment, aware that even the softest notes must be played with care and poise. Victorian music is not simply art, it is a reflection of character, a measure of patience and decorum. Each note is deliberate, controlled, and yet, if played with skill, it carries a subtle whisper of emotion, a small rebellion, perhaps within the boundaries of propriety. As she begins to play, the room fills with a tender melody, slow and flowing, curling around the furniture, the fireplace, and the lace curtains. The sound mingles with the faint creak of the house settling and the distant clatter of a carriage on the street outside. Eliza's eyes close, and for a few moments, the rules that govern her life seem to soften, allowing her mind to drift. She imagines walking through a field of wildflowers, the wind brushing softly against her face, free of expectations, judgments, and invisible eyes. The music carries a kind of secret intimacy, even within the strictures of Victorian life. Moments like these provide solace, a private world where thoughts can breathe and feelings can emerge without scrutiny. She thinks of the carefully maintained etiquette lessons, the endless practice of composure, and she allows herself a quiet smile. These lessons are not merely rules, they are a form of protection, a way to navigate the delicate latticework of society without faltering, without being misunderstood. A gentle knock at the door brings her back to reality, and she lifts her hands from the keys. It is the housemaid, carrying a tray of tea and biscuits. The steam curls in delicate spirals, the scent of brewed tea mingling with the faint sweetness of sugar and shortbread. Eliza receives the tray with a nod of acknowledgement, careful not to disturb the calm rhythm of her surroundings. Even in small interactions such as these, a touch, a glance, or a word must be measured. Too much familiarity risks impropriety. Too little may appear cold or distant. As she sips the warm tea, Eliza reflects on the quiet power of ritual. Victorian life is a constant interplay between constraint and comfort, each expectation a thread woven into the fabric of daily existence. There is beauty in the precision, serenity in the order, and even a kind of subtle rebellion in the moments when one allows oneself to feel, to dream, and to breathe. And tonight, in the waning light of the afternoon, the world seems to pause, inviting reflection, quiet wonder, and the soft, slow unfolding of inner life. Evening descends softly upon the city, carrying a hush that settles over the streets like a silken veil. The lamps along the avenues flicker to life, their amber glow spilling onto the cobblestones, illuminating puddles left from an earlier rain. Eliza stands at her window, gazing outward as the world shifts from the golden warmth of day to the muted, introspective tones of night. There is a quiet magic in this hour, a feeling that everything is held in delicate balance, and every movement matters more than it seems. The house around her is calm, the servants moving in subdued whispers, carrying out their duties with the rhythm and precision ingrained into them by years of practice. Eliza inhales deeply, the faint scent of polished wood, candle wax, and evening blossoms drifting in through the slightly open window. She imagines the lives of people beyond her street shopkeepers, finishing their accounts. Families gathering for supper, carriages rattling home with tired passengers. Each life, constrained and shaped by the same invisible threads of expectation, moves in quiet synchrony. Eliza retreats from the window, her footsteps soft against the thick carpet. She prepares for her evening ritual, one that is as much about inner reflection as it is about outward appearances. A delicate wash of lavender-scented water soothes her hands, and she smooths her hair into its evening style, each strand placed with care. Her reflection in the mirror is serene and composed, a mask that both conceals and reveals. In Victorian society, appearances are a language of their own, and mastery of that language is both shield and key. A fire crackles in the hearth, its warmth spreading slowly across the room. Eliza draws her favorite chair close and opens a leather-bound book, its pages filled with stories of distant lands and genteel adventures. The soft rustle of paper blends with the quiet hiss of the flames, and for a while, the rules and rigidity of her world slip into the background. The characters within the pages move freely, unbound by expectation, and Eliza allows herself to imagine the thrill of such liberation, the gentle excitement of daring to live beyond the invisible lattice of society. The sounds outside begin to fade into a gentle hush. Only the distant toll of a bell and the soft whistle of the wind through the narrow streets remind her of the living city beyond these walls. She sips from a cup of warm tea, its gentle heat spreading through her chest, and feels the comforting weight of the evening's ritual. It is a small anchor, a way to navigate the layers of expectation and still find space for her own mind to wander. In these quiet moments, Eliza contemplates the delicate balance of her life, the precision of social rules, the beauty of refinement, the warmth of home, and the unspoken longing for freedom. Victorian society may shape every gesture, every glance, and every word, but within these walls, in this soft evening light, she discovers a pocket of peace. Here, time slows, thoughts settle, and the world, though still governed by invisible codes, feels tender, safe, and almost infinite in its quiet possibilities. As the night deepens, the city outside Eliza's window grows quieter, the distant clatter of horse-drawn carriages fading into gentle echoes. The lamplight flickers softly against the brick facades, casting long, wavering shadows that dance like whispers across the cobblestones. Inside, the house is hushed, every corner steeped in the warm glow of candlelight and the subtle scent of polished wood and faintly burning wax. Eliza moves with deliberate calm through the dimly lit hallway, her footsteps muffled by the thick rug that runs along its length. She pauses at the portrait of her parents, painted in oils decades before, their faces poised and serene, expressions tempered by dignity and decorum. She studies the fine details, the careful curl of a lip, the way the mother's hand rests gracefully atop her husband's. In Victorian life, the memory of family and the weight of ancestry are ever present, guiding behavior, shaping decisions, and quietly influencing the rhythm of the day. A gentle breeze slips through a slightly open window, carrying with it the scent of rain-soaked earth and the faint sweetness of late-blooming flowers. Eliza inhales slowly, savoring the mixture of warmth from the hearth and the crisp freshness from outside. There is a delicate tension in the air, a reminder that while the rules of society create order, the natural world exists freely, indifferent to human expectation. This thought brings her a quiet smile, a gentle acknowledgement of the balance she must navigate between control and release. She approaches her writing desk, a small, polished surface of dark mahogany. A quill rests in its holder, and parchment lies ready, crisp and awaiting her careful hand. Writing letters is both a duty and a delight in Victorian life, a way to maintain connections, convey thoughtfulness, and exhibit propriety. Eliza dips the quill in ink, its tip gliding smoothly across the page as she composes a note to a distant friend. Each word is chosen with precision, polite, measured, yet infused with subtle warmth, a gentle reflection of her own inner thoughts. Outside, the wind rustles the leaves of a nearby tree, the sound soft and rhythmic, blending with the faint ticking of the clock on the mantel. Eliza pauses mid-sentence, listening. There is a quiet beauty in this moment, the slow unfolding of night, the sensation of being part of a world alive with sound, yet perfectly still in essence. The ritual of penmanship, the glow of the candles, the soft hum of the city beyond all, combine to create a sense of calm that feels almost sacred. As she sets the quill down and folds the letter neatly, Eliza reflects on the structure of her life. Victorian rules may govern gestures, words, and glances, but within these quiet hours, she finds a freedom that belongs entirely to her. The small, intentional acts of writing, observing, and breathing in the night allow her mind to wander safely, exploring thoughts and emotions while remaining cocooned in the comforting embrace of ritual and propriety. Night deepens, and a soft hush settles over the household, broken only by the occasional whisper of a servant attending to unseen tasks. The flicker of the candles casts gentle, trembling shadows across the walls, and the faint scent of lavender from a sachet on Eliza's bedside table mingles with the warmth of the dying fire. In this quiet, the house seems to breathe alongside her, each creak of the floorboards and sigh of the chimney a slow, soothing rhythm. Eliza prepares for bed with deliberate care. She draws a long, calming breath as she unties the ribbons of her dress, letting the fabric fall silently to the floor. Every movement is purposeful. Victorian etiquette encourages not only composure in public, but mindfulness in private, a soft, continuous practice of self-respect and reflection. Her nightgown is made of soft cotton, its texture delicate against her skin, and she smooths it over her shoulders with gentle hands, appreciating the simple intimacy of fabric against flesh. The bedroom is small but comforting. Heavy curtains block the world beyond the window, muffling the city's distant murmur and enclosing the room in a gentle cocoon of warmth. A bedspread, carefully stitched by a relative long ago, covers the mattress, and the pillows are plump and inviting. Every item in the room reflects care, order, and propriety, silently reminding Eliza of the values she has been taught to cherish. She sits at the edge of the bed for a moment, her mind wandering through the day's moments, the careful greetings, the soft laughter shared in drawing rooms, the measured curtsies, and the quiet conversations with servants and family alike. There is a certain grace in adhering to rules that govern behavior, yet within her reflection lies a quiet longing, a curiosity for spontaneity, and the unspoken desire to move beyond expectation, even for a fleeting instant. As Eliza slips beneath the soft folds of her bed cover, the house around her settles further into silence. The fire has dwindled to embers, and the occasional crackle seems to mirror her slow, deepening breaths. She imagines the streets of London outside empty now, save for the occasional horse-drawn carriage returning late from distant calls. The gas lamps cast halos of light, illuminating the glistening wet stones, while the air, now cooler, carries a whisper of the river nearby and the faint aroma of evening blossoms. Lying in bed, Eliza allows herself to drift into gentle thought. She pictures herself walking through a quiet garden at dusk, the soft hum of insects around her, the cool grass brushing against her shoes, and the delicate scent of roses mingling with the freshness of the evening air. The structure of her daily life, the meticulous attention to etiquette and expectation, remains a constant, yet in her imagination there is a kind of freedom that she can explore safely and privately, attend a counterpoint to the rigid rhythms of her waking hours. The city outside has fallen into a serene quiet, as if the night itself has pressed a gentle hand upon London's bustling streets. From her bedroom window, Eliza can see the faint shimmer of gas lamps, their golden light reflected in the damp cobblestones below, creating a soft, glimmering river of illumination that stretches along the streets. The distant chime of a church bell marks the hour, each note lingering in the cool night air, slow and soothing, like a heartbeat echoing through the city. Eliza lies beneath the thick folds of her bedspread, the softness of the linens embracing her with a comforting weight. The ritual of undressing and preparing for bed has left her body calm and settled, and her mind follows suit, gently easing away from the day's careful calculations and deliberate gestures. She listens closely to the sounds of the house, the quiet shuffle of a late-night servant, the gentle hiss of the fireplace cooling, and the faint groan of the timbers settling. Each noise is a small reminder that the world continues, even in the stillness, and that she is part of its intricate rhythm. Her thoughts drift to the strict social rules that shape every moment of her life. In Victorian society, behavior is as carefully constructed as a piece of fine lace, each thread representing propriety, discretion, and the preservation of reputation. A misplaced word or gesture can ripple outward, leaving subtle marks upon relationships and perceptions. And yet, within this web of expectation, there is also elegance, refined beauty in attentiveness, composure, and the art of quiet interaction. Eliza finds herself appreciating the delicate balance, the sense of order, and the predictable patterns that offer both safety and comfort. A soft breeze slips through the slightly open window, carrying the faint aroma of blooming night flowers and the crispness of evening air. It brushes lightly against her skin, a gentle caress that contrasts with the rigid precision of her daytime life. She closes her eyes and imagines walking through a moonlit garden, the ducal beneath her shoes, the silver glow of moonlight illuminating delicate petals, and the hum of unseen creatures filling the night with quiet life. In this imagined space, she is free to move with unmeasured grace, unobserved and unjudged, a private world where her thoughts and feelings can flow without constraint. Slowly, her breathing deepens, each inhalation and exhalation a soft, rhythmic tide that eases her into a gentle calm. The house, the city, and the distant world beyond the window fade into a muted backdrop, leaving only the warmth of her room, the comfort of her bed, and the safe cocoon of ritual and imagination. In this delicate balance between structure and freedom, Eliza begins to drift, carried gently by the interplay of light, shadow, and memory, and the quiet knowledge that even in a world bound by rules, there is space for the mind to wander, to dream, and to rest. The deep night settles like a velvet cloak over the city, muffling the usual clamor of streets and markets, leaving only the soft whisper of wind through chimneys and the distant hum of the river. In her bedroom, Eliza lies still beneath the comforting folds of her bedspread, the warmth pressing gently against her skin, the softness of the pillow cradling her head as she listens to the subtle symphony of night. Every sound, the faint rustle of a curtain, the ticking of the clock, the occasional sigh of the old houses, magnified in the quiet, and yet, instead of disturbing her, it weaves a lullaby of calm. Tonight, her mind wanders through the rooms and rituals of her day, retracing the careful gestures, the soft words, and the measured curtsies that define her world. In Victorian society, every encounter carries weight, every glance is noted, and every movement is subtly interpreted. Yet, within this framework of rules, there exists a rhythm, a comforting predictability that guides her steps and her thoughts. She imagines each moment as a delicate dance, where precision and grace are rewarded with a quiet sense of accomplishment and dignity. The scent of night air drifts faintly through the window, mingling with the lingering aroma of tea and lavender. Eliza inhales slowly, letting the coolness and subtle fragrance fill her senses, and she feels a gentle release of the day's careful tension. In the garden beyond, the petals of night-blooming flowers glimmer faintly in the moonlight, their delicate forms swaying softly in the breeze. She imagines herself stepping quietly among them, feeling the soft dew beneath her feet, each flower brushing gently against her fingers, a secret world of motion and life untouched by societal scrutiny. She turns slightly in bed, the sheets rustling softly, and allows herself to sink deeper into the cocoon of warmth and security. Her thoughts drift to the interplay of expectation and freedom in her daily life, the endless, balancing act between what is required and what she secretly desires. The rules may be invisible, but they are never absent, a constant companion in every gesture, word, and thought. And yet, in this quiet moment, she feels a profound intimacy with herself, a private world where her mind can roam, her imagination can flourish, and her spirit can rest without fear or constraint. Slowly, her eyelids grow heavy, her breathing deepens, and the rhythm of the night envelops her. The gas lamps outside flicker softly against the fog, casting gentle shadows that reach toward her window like faint fingers. In the stillness of the hour, Eliza's world narrows to the warmth of her bed, the comforting scent of her room, and the soft pulse of her own thoughts, steady, calm, and reassuring. Here, in the quiet embrace of night, she finds a gentle balance between the order of Victorian life and the freedom of her inner world, a delicate space where sleep begins to weave its slow, soothing magic. The moon rises higher now, casting a gentle silver glow across the rooftops of London. The city, shrouded in mist and quiet, seems almost dreamlike from Eliza's window. She lies still beneath her covers, the warmth of the bed pressing softly against her body, while the night whispers around her, carrying a mixture of distant carriage wheels, the faint murmur of the river, and the soft rustling of leaves outside. The sounds blend into a slow, calming rhythm, like a lullaby only the city itself could compose. Eliza turns her gaze toward the small vanity across the room, where a faint reflection of candlelight shimmers on polished wood and glass. Even in this private space, every object has a purpose, each carefully arranged to reflect order, care, and refinement. Her eyes linger on a delicate hand mirror, its frame etched with floral patterns, a gift from her mother long ago. Victorian society teaches attentiveness to detail not only in public but also in the intimacy of personal surroundings, a way to cultivate discipline, grace, and mindfulness in every moment. She imagines the streets outside, empty now save for the occasional figure hurrying home or a horse-drawn carriage passing silently beneath the foggy lamps. London by night is a study in contrast, serene yet alive, shadowed yet luminous. Every corner holds history, every building a story, every street an echo of lives lived under the careful scrutiny of social expectation. The city itself seems to mirror her own existence, a blend of structure and mystery, of order and hidden freedom. Eliza's thoughts drift to the lessons of the day, the curtsies performed with perfect poise, the measured conversations that required both tact and subtlety, the moments of private reflection in the quiet drawing room. Each act of propriety is both constraint and comfort, a framework that guides her through life while preserving her dignity. And within these constraints lies a subtle beauty, a rhythm that allows her mind to find quiet corners where imagination can roam freely, even if just for a fleeting moment. She closes her eyes and lets the gentle pulse of her own breathing match the rhythm of the night. She imagines walking along the misted streets, the gas lamps casting soft circles of light, the fog curling around her like a tender embrace. In her mind, she explores hidden gardens, secret pathways, and moonlit courtyards, places where the rules of society do not reach, where she can move with the grace and freedom of her thoughts. Each imagined step brings a quiet thrill, a gentle contrast to the careful order of her waking life. The warmth of her bed, the soft scent of lavender, and the tender hum of the city outside lull her deeper into a state of calm. Her body relaxes fully, the tension of the day melting into the folds of her bedspread, while her mind floats gently in the delicate space between awareness and sleep. Victorian rules may shape her world, but in this quiet night, she discovers the tender freedom of her own imagination, a space where thought and feeling can drift unobserved, unhindered, and softly, slowly, into the embrace of rest. The night deepens, settling over London like a soft, dark cloak. From her bedroom window, Eliza watches the quiet streets, glimmering faintly under the glow of gas lamps. The mist curls along the cobblestones, blurring edges and softening the harsh lines of buildings, making the city appear almost like a painting in delicate shades of grey and gold. The faint sound of a distant carriage bell echoes slowly, a gentle punctuation in the hush of the hour. Eliza lies still beneath her bed covers, feeling the gentle warmth that contrasts with the cool night air drifting through the slightly open window. Her body, relaxed and heavy, sinks deeper into the mattress as her mind wanders softly to the day's details. Victorian life is a careful choreography where every gesture, glance, and word carries weight. Even the most mundane moments a greeting, a bow, a simple exchanger laced with meaning, creating a world that is both constraining and beautifully ordered. She thinks of the drawing room from earlier, its polished floors reflecting the afternoon light, the carefully arranged chairs, the soft murmur of conversation. The room was alive with subtle signals, the way her cousin's hand rested upon a chair, the tilt of her mother's head, the delicate way a servant poured tea without seeming to notice the observers. Each movement was both ordinary and significant, a quiet testament to the invisible rules guiding every life within the house. Outside, the wind moves gently through the trees, their leaves whispering secrets to the night. Eliza imagines herself walking beneath their branches, the cool grass pressing softly against her shoes, dew dampening the edges of her skirts. In this imagined stroll, she is free, each step unobserved, each breath her own. The freedom of night allows her a gentle reprieve, a space to move and exist without judgment, even if only in her mind. Her gaze drifts to the candle on the bedside table, its flame trembling in the faint draught, casting long, wavering shadows across the walls. Shadows, she reflects, are much like society's rules shaping perception, influencing action, and always present, even when unnoticed. Yet, unlike rules, shadows offer beauty and mystery, inviting imagination to wander safely in their soft embrace. She breathes deeply, letting the calm of candlelight, the quiet of the house, and the gentle rhythm of her own thoughts lull her toward rest. Slowly, Eliza feels her eyelids grow heavy. The tension of measured behavior and constant awareness melts into the folds of her bed. Outside, the city sleeps, its hum reduced to a tender, distant murmur. Inside, she rests enveloped in warmth, ritual, and the quiet freedom of her own mind, drifting gently toward sleep, where the world of expectation fades, leaving only the soft, slow unfolding of calm and quiet. A hush lingers over the city as midnight approaches, and the streets outside Eliza's window are now shadows and silver light. The fog curls lazily along the cobblestones, softening every edge, muffling distant sounds, and creating a quiet sanctuary in the heart of London. From her bed, she listens to the gentle rhythm of the night, the faint rustle of leaves, the distant drip of water from rooftops, the occasional soft scuffle of a late-night passerby, and lets each sound sink slowly into her awareness, weaving a tapestry of calm. Eliza's thoughts drift to the intricate rules that structure her world. Victorian etiquette governs much more than words. It shapes movement, posture, and even thought. Every step in a drawing room, every tilt of a hat, every careful avoidance of an accidental glance is practiced as though life itself were a measured dance. Yet in the quiet of her bedroom, under the gentle light of a flickering candle, she allows herself to breathe without calculation, to let her mind wander into spaces untouched by societal expectation. She imagines walking along a narrow, misty lane lined with brick buildings, the soft glow of lampposts illuminating delicate patterns on the cobblestones. Each step is slow, deliberate, yet free from scrutiny. The air carries the faint aroma of baked bread from a distant bakery, and the earthy scent of damp stone and earth, mingling with the subtle perfume of night-blooming flowers. In this imagined stroll, she feels the quiet thrill of autonomy, the gentle joy of moving unobserved through a world both familiar and magical. Her eyes follow the shadows cast by the candlelight on her bedroom walls, each shape shifting slowly, almost imperceptibly. The play of light and darkness is mesmerizing, a quiet dance that mirrors the delicate balance between constraint and freedom in her own life. Victorian rules may define the outer shell of behavior, but within these walls, within her thoughts, there is room for imagination, subtle rebellion, and the soft unfurling of her inner world. Eliza turns onto her side, pulling the bed covers closer around her. The warmth of the fabric, the softness of the pillow beneath her head, and the tender flicker of candlelight combine into a gentle cocoon. Her breathing slows, becoming a steady rhythm in harmony with the quiet pulse of the night. In this space, Victorian life's rules feel less like chains and more like a framework, a lattice through which her imagination can flow freely, carrying her gently into the calm embrace of sleep. The soft hush of midnight deepens into the kind of stillness that makes the world feel suspended, as if every sound and movement has been paused in reverent quiet. Outside Eliza's window, the mist drifts lazily along the cobblestones, curling around lampposts and doorways in silver tendrils. The city sleeps, but within her room, a gentle warmth and stillness envelope her, wrapping her like a soft blanket of calm. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, her body relaxed, her hands resting lightly atop the quilt. The day's careful dances of etiquette, measured conversations, and silent observances fade from her mind, replaced by a slower rhythm, her own breath, the soft creak of the wooden floor, the faint whisper of night air through the slightly open window. In Victorian life, attention to detail is paramount, but in this quiet hour, she allows herself the luxury of simplicity, the slow, deliberate awareness of body, space, and breath. Her thoughts drift to the garden outside the house, now hidden in the silver shadows of moonlight. She imagines walking along winding paths, the dew cool beneath her shoes, petals brushing softly against her fingertips. In her mind's eye, the flowers sway in a gentle breeze, releasing a subtle fragrance that mingles with the night air. There is no expectation here, no judgment, only the soft, intimate connection between herself and the quiet beauty of the world around her. Even the smallest details of Victorian life carry significance in her memory: the curve of a hand when pouring tea, the tilt of a hat while passing a neighbor, the meticulous arrangement of a table for a quiet meal. Each act requires mindfulness, yet in reflection, she sees a strange beauty in this order. The discipline of careful attention, the art of observing without overstepping, all contribute to a sense of structure that, paradoxically, allows her mind the freedom to wander within its confines. Eliza shifts slightly, pressing her cheek into the pillow, and feels a gentle heaviness spread through her limbs. The warmth of the covers, the scent of lavender from the sachets tucked in the drawers, and the distant glow of the lamplight outside all combine into a soothing cocoon. In this intimate world of night, ritual, and imagination, she drifts slowly, letting go of conscious thought, surrendering to the quiet flow of the evening, and preparing to enter a sleep that is deep, calm, and replenishing. The night stretches gently, soft and unhurried, as if time itself has slowed to a delicate pace. Outside, the streets of London lie in silver-grey stillness, mist curling in lazy patterns around lampposts and archways. Even the faintest sounds, an owl hooting in the distance, the soft shuffle of a passing figure, the whisper of wind through bare branches seem amplified in the quiet, each one a gentle note in the night's lullaby. Eliza rests beneath the folds of her bedspread, the warmth pressing softly against her body. She allows her thoughts to drift, unmeasured, as her mind wanders through the structured world she inhabits. Victorian society is a web of invisible threads. Each act, glance, and gesture carefully guided by rules that demand attention and restraint. And yet, in this intimate hour, she feels a subtle release from those invisible bonds, a tender space where her imagination can roam freely, painting a world beyond observation or judgment. Her mind returns to the drawing room, where the soft hum of conversation and the gentle clinking of teacups were once the background of her day. She remembers the meticulous placement of chairs, the polished surfaces of tables, the careful alignment of books on shelves. Each element was a reflection of refinement, order, and propriety, a silent code that spoke volumes without words. In the memory of these details, she finds a quiet comfort, the reassurance of structure amid a world that might otherwise feel vast and overwhelming. Through the open window, a breeze drifts in, carrying the faint scent of night-blooming flowers and the crispness of the evening air. Eliza imagines stepping softly into a moonlit garden, dew dampening the hem of her dress, the petals of roses brushing gently against her fingertips. The world is hushed here, suspended in a delicate balance of shadow and light, sound and silence. She moves through it slowly, deliberately, savoring the calm freedom of night, where her steps and thoughts belong entirely to her. Her breathing slows, deep and steady, as the warmth of her bed and the quiet rhythm of her surroundings wrap around her like a soft, protective embrace. Victorian rules, strict and pervasive, govern the waking world, but in this space, this cocoon of night, candlelight, and imagination, there is a gentle liberation. She drifts further into this calm, letting her mind explore, her body relax, and sleep approach like a slow, soft tide, enveloping her completely in its soothing embrace. The city outside Eliza's window has softened into almost perfect silence. Midnight is past, and the fog clings thickly to the streets, curling round the edges of buildings and lampposts like gentle fingers. The glow of the gas lamps cuts through the mist in pale, golden circles, illuminating puddles that reflect the light like tiny mirrors scattered across the cobblestones. Somewhere distant, the faint toll of a bell drifts across the air, slow and deliberate, marking time without urgency. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, the soft cotton pressing warmly against her skin, her pillow cradling her head in gentle support. The day's attentions, her careful greetings, her measured words, and her quiet observation of social cues feel distant now, receding into the soft fog of memory. Victorian life demands vigilance and discipline, yet in this night-lit sanctuary, she allows herself to release the constant calculation, letting the day's weight dissolve slowly into calm. Her thoughts drift to the subtle textures of her world, the cool smoothness of polished wood beneath her fingers, the gentle rustle of silken lace as she moves, the soft warmth of tea in her hands. Every sensation, once consciously moderated to maintain propriety, now becomes a quiet source of comfort. She imagines these textures extended into the night, the soft moss of a hidden garden beneath her fingertips, the smooth surface of a fountain edge as she rests, the gentle brush of petals in a moonlit courtyard. Outside, the faint whistle of wind through the bare branches creates a slow, soothing rhythm. Eliza pictures herself walking along a quiet, tree-lined avenue, the mist curling around her feet, footsteps absorbed by the soft, wet earth. The sense of night-damp stone, faint roses, and the cool river breeze fill her senses, blending with the warmth and safety of her bedroom. Here, within this delicate imagined world, she is free to move, to breathe, and to feel fully without fear of judgment or scrutiny. Her breathing slows, each inhale and exhale falling into a steady, comforting rhythm. The candlelight flickers gently, casting long, dancing shadows that soothe rather than disturb. Victorian rules, so rigid and ever-present in daylight, seemed to dissolve into this quiet hour, leaving only warmth, softness, and the gentle unfolding of rest. In this serene cocoon, Eliza allows herself to drift, carried by the tender current of night, the calm pulse of her own body, and the subtle freedom of imagination, surrendering slowly and peacefully to sleep. The city rests under a canopy of deep navy sky, studded with faint glimmering stars that peek through gaps in the drifting fog. The streets of London lie hushed, the occasional whisper of wind carrying faint echoes of distant carriages or a solitary footstep that fades quickly into nothing. The world feels paused, suspended in a quiet stillness that allows even the tiniest sounds, the rustle of a curtain, the gentle tick of a clock, to become a soft, comforting presence. Eliza lies curled beneath her covers, the warmth of the bed pressing gently against her body, her head sinking slightly into the soft pillow. The structured rhythms of her day, the measured gestures, and the careful navigation of societal rules are far away now, replaced by a gentle, unhurried awareness of the room, the warmth, and the night itself. She closes her eyes briefly, imagining the quiet streets outside, lit by the gentle glow of the lamps, mist curling softly along the edges of cobblestones and buildings. Her mind drifts to the domestic spaces she inhabits: the drawing room, the dining room, the small library where she often spends her afternoons with books. Each room carries a distinct atmosphere: polished wood, soft textiles, gentle scents of lavender and wax, all curated to maintain elegance, order, and propriety. Yet in the quiet of night, Eliza allows herself to imagine the rooms not as stages for performance, but as personal sanctuaries, filled with warmth, gentle textures, and the soft rhythm of a life lived slowly and attentively. The distant scent of rain lingers faintly in the air, mingling with the residual aroma of tea and flowers from earlier in the day. Eliza imagines stepping outside into the cool night, the soft mist dampening her skirts, each step absorbed by the earth, the city silent around her. The flowers in imagined gardens sway lightly in the breeze, releasing delicate scents that rise into the air. She moves among them freely, unobserved, allowing herself the gentle pleasure of exploration and quiet reflection. Breath deep and even, she sinks further into her bed, letting the rhythm of night and the comforting warmth of her bedspread lull her. The invisible lattice of Victorian rules, so present in waking hours, fades into a distant hum, leaving her mind free to wander, to rest, and to drift. In this gentle, quiet world of shadow, candlelight, and imagination, sleep approaches slowly, softly, carrying her into a space of calm, security, and gentle release. The city outside rests under a muted veil of fog, the gas lamps glowing softly like small beacons against the darkness. Their light shimmers on wet cobblestones, reflecting in tiny puddles, as though the ground itself were holding gentle memories of passing footsteps. All around, London breathes quietly in the night, and the faint hum of distant chiming bells echoes like a lullaby, measured and steady through the hush of empty streets. Eliza lies beneath her covers, the warmth pressing lightly against her limbs, while the soft pillow cradles her head. The world of daylight, full of gestures, judgments, and unspoken rules, has dissolved into a gentle twilight of the mind. Here, she allows herself the luxury of quiet reflection, of noticing textures and sensations that often go overlooked in the rush of propriety. The silk of her sheets brushes softly against her skin. The scent of lavender fills the air. The room, though simple, feels like a sanctuary carved out of order, ritual, and comfort. Her mind drifts to the soft patterns of life in the drawing room earlier that day. Every detail had been observed: the precise alignment of chairs, the the careful placement of a silver tray, the measured pace of conversation. Each act of propriety, though exacting, carries its own rhythm, a form of dance in which she has learned to move gracefully. And in this memory, there is a subtle kind of beauty, a harmony in the balance of expectation, attention, and gentle restraint. Outside, the night breeze brushes against the window pane, carrying the faint fragrance of evening blooms and the crispness of damp stone. Eliza imagines herself wandering through a small, secluded garden, dew dampening the hem of her dress, petals brushing lightly against her fingers. The world is hushed, intimate, and entirely her own. Each step she takes is free, unobserved, and unmeasured, quiet rebellion against the rigid lattice of social expectation, a soft moment of liberation that belongs only to her. Her breathing grows slow and even, matching the gentle rhythm of the distant city and the tender pulse of her own heartbeat. Candlelight flickers softly, casting gentle shadows that sway across her walls like slow, deliberate dancers. Victorian rules, pervasive and persistent in waking hours, recede into the night, leaving only warmth, security, and the soft, unhurried unfolding of her thoughts. In this quiet cocoon, she drifts further into the gentle embrace of sleep, carried by calm imagination and the soothing cadence of night. The night stretches on, slow and tender, as a silver haze drifts across the city. Outside Eliza's window, the gas lamps glow softly through the fog, painting halos of light that shimmer faintly on the wet cobblestones. The streets are silent now, save for the occasional distant echo of a carriage or the soft whisper of wind threading through narrow alleyways. The world feels hushed, as if it is holding its breath in reverence for the calm of the hour. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, the weight of the warm linens pressing gently against her body. Her eyes close, and she feels the quiet rhythm of her breath, slow and steady, syncing with the soft pulse of the house around her. Victorian society's intricate rules and expectations, so insistent in the light of day, are now distant echoes, softened by the gentle intimacy of her private space. Here, she can inhabit a world that is at once ordered and free, a delicate balance she has learned to cultivate in the quiet moments of night. Her mind wanders to the subtle intricacies of the day, the careful placement of a teacup, the gentle curtsy offered to a visiting cousin, the precise modulation of her voice in polite conversation. Each act had been measured and deliberate, a thread woven into the larger tapestry of propriety and social expectation. Yet now, in the softness of her room, these threads form a gentle framework, a familiar rhythm that guides her reflection rather than constrains it. She imagines walking through a small, hidden courtyard, the night air cool against her cheeks. The faint scent of night flowers drifts around her, delicate and calming. Dew clings to the leaves and petals, glimmering faintly in the soft lamplight. Each step she takes is deliberate yet free, unobserved and unjudged, a gentle escape into a private world where thought and sensation can unfold without measurement or expectation. Eliza breathes deeply, the warmth of her bed and the comforting quiet of the room enveloping her completely. The flicker of candlelight casts long, shifting shadows that seem to move with the rhythm of her heartbeat, a soft reminder of the gentle order and beauty that Victorian life can offer, even within its strict confines. Slowly, she drifts further into calm, her thoughts softening, her body relaxing, and sleep, patient and tender, beginning to carry her into its soothing embrace. The quiet of the late night deepens, settling over London like a soft, velvety blanket. From Eliza's window, the fog drifts lazily along the streets, curling around lampposts and doorways, smoothing the edges of the city into a dreamlike haze. Each gas lamp glows gently, their golden light reflected in tiny puddles, creating a soft shimmer across the cobblestones. Even the faintest noise is an owl in the distance, a horse shifting its weight. The whisper of the wind are magnified in the hush, forming a delicate, soothing rhythm that fills the night. Eliza lies beneath the soft folds of her bed covers, her body heavy with warmth, her head resting gently on her pillow. The meticulous details of her diet, the polished floors, the carefully arranged tea trays, the measured smiles and curtsies fade into the quiet background. In their place is a tender awareness of the room, the gentle rustle of linens, the faint scent of lavender lingering from her drawer sachets, and the flickering candlelight that dances softly across the walls. In this intimate world, there is a calm freedom, a gentle space to drift and reflect. Her mind drifts to the structured rhythm of Victorian life, where each action and gesture is steeped in unspoken meaning. The rules of etiquette, though strict and pervasive, form a rhythm rather than a cage. In memory, she sees herself in the drawing room, the gentle tilts of heads, the careful placement of hands, the subtle exchange of glances, all small, deliberate movements that hold significance yet also create a sense of harmony and balance. There is beauty in the order, a quiet artistry in living with intention, even when constrained by expectation. Outside, the faint fragrance of night-blooming flowers drifts through the window, mingling with the crisp, damp scent of stone and fog. Eliza imagines herself stepping barefoot into a moonlit garden, dew cooling her feet, petals brushing softly against her fingertips, and the gentle hum of unseen creatures adding a tender rhythm to the night. In this imagined sanctuary, she moves freely, each step unobserved, each breath her own. The rigid lattice of society feels distant, replaced by the soothing intimacy of night, reflection, and imagination. Her breathing slows further, matching the gentle cadence of the distant city. The soft tick of the clock and the tender flicker of candlelight. Victorian rules, so present in the daylight hours, dissolve into the quiet of the room, leaving only warmth, stillness, and the gentle unfolding of thought. Eliza drifts softly into this calm, her body sinking into the bed, her mind wandering in its private garden of imagination, and sleep embraces her like a slow, steady tide, carrying her into gentle rest. The stillness of the night settles deeper over London, wrapping the city in quiet folds of mist and shadow. The gas lamps glow faintly through the fog, their light reflected in the wet cobblestones, turning the streets into a soft river of gold and silver. Somewhere distant, the faint echo of a church bell resonates slowly, a deliberate, comforting rhythm that seems to pulse gently through the sleeping city. Eliza lies beneath the warm embrace of her bed covers, her body relaxed, her head sinking into the softness of her pillow. The world of the day, with its meticulous gestures, curtsies, and carefully measured conversations, feels far away, replaced by a calm awareness of her immediate surroundings. The candlelight flickers softly, casting tender shadows that stretch across the walls and ceiling, moving slowly as if in tune with her own breathing. Her mind drifts to the subtle rituals of her Victorian life, the arrangement of the drawing room, the precise placement of books on a shelf, the careful art of conversation where every word carries weight. Each rule, though strict and ever-present, also holds a quiet elegance. It is a structure that shapes behavior, yes, but also provides a rhythm, a kind of slow, deliberate artistry that allows even small actions to feel meaningful and composed. She imagines herself in a garden beyond her home, moonlight spilling across soft grass, petals glistening with dew, and the gentle rustle of leaves in the night breeze. Each step is light, unobserved, and unmeasured. Here, in this imagined sanctuary, freedom blends with tranquility. offering a private space where the mind can wander, explore, and breathe, far from the vigilant eyes and silent judgments of society. Her breathing deepens, slow and even, echoing the soft pulse of the night outside. The warmth of her bed and the gentle comfort of her room wrap around her like a cocoon. In this quiet cocoon of candlelight, shadows, and imagination, the weight of Victorian expectation eases and sleep begins to sweep over her, steady and patient. She drifts softly into its embrace, carried by the tender rhythm of the night, her mind and body resting in a calm, undisturbed flow. The night has grown even deeper, and the mist outside Eliza's window hangs heavy, curling around lampposts and the edges of buildings like delicate lace. The glow of gas lamps pierces the fog in soft, golden circles, illuminating patches of wet cobblestone that shimmer faintly, mirroring the quiet shimmer of stars hidden above. The city hums with almost imperceptible life, a distant horse's soft hoofbeats, a gentle scuff of boots along a hidden alley, the faint sigh of wind through the bare branches of trees. Eliza lies beneath the folds of her bedspread, warmth pressing gently against her body. Her eyes close, and she listens to the quiet rhythm of the house, the soft ticking of the clock, the subtle settling of timbers as if the building itself breathes alongside her, the rigid attentions and measured gestures of her daytime life, bowing, curtsying, observing every nuance of etiquette fade into distant memory, replaced by the slow, deliberate unfolding of calm and reflection. Her mind wanders to the rooms she inhabits during the day, the drawing room with its polished wood, fine upholstery, and carefully arranged trinkets, the library lined with leather-bound books, the faint scent of ink and paper lingering in the air, the dining room with its precise arrangement of cutlery and silverware. Each space is a testament to order and care, and in memory they offer a quiet comfort, a sense of continuity and stability that eases the mind as it begins to drift towards sleep. Outside, the breeze carries the faint scent of night-blooming flowers, mingling with the crisp, damp smell of stone and mist. Eliza imagines herself stepping into a secluded garden, dew soaking the tips of her skirts, petals brushing softly against her fingers. Each step is deliberate yet free, unobserved and unjudged, allowing her imagination to move through spaces unconstrained by rules. A tender sanctuary where she can wander with ease and quiet delight. Her breathing slows, deep and even, matching the gentle pulse of the city beyond the window. The candle flickers softly, casting tender, swaying shadows that seem to breathe along with her. Victorian rules, so persistent and rigid in the waking hours, dissolve into the softness of the night, leaving only warmth, calm, and the gentle rhythm of her own thoughts. She drifts deeper into this quiet, a slow, soothing surrender to sleep, wrapped in the delicate balance of imagination, comfort, and serene rest. The night feels endless in its quiet beauty, a slow, unfolding tapestry of shadow and silver light. From her bedroom window, Eliza watches the mist drift along the streets below, curling around the edges of lampposts and rooftops, softening the sharp outlines of the city into gentle, dreamlike shapes. The gas lamps cast pools of warm gold on the damp cobblestones, creating a soft, rippling glow that seems almost alive in the stillness. Eliza lies beneath the folds of her bed covers, the warmth of the linens pressing gently against her skin. Her eyes close, and she listens to the house around her, the faint creak of timbers, the subtle sigh of wind slipping through a slightly open window, the soft, measured tick of the clock. These sounds, small and often overlooked during the day, now feel like companions, guiding her toward calm, deliberate thought and slow, peaceful breath. Her mind drifts to the drawing room from earlier, to the meticulous arrangement of furniture and ornaments, the careful polish of the floors, the subtle art of conversation where every word and gesture must be measured. Even these strictures, so present in waking life, now transform into a rhythm, a slow, soothing choreography that carries a strange, quiet beauty. Victorian rules may govern the outside world, but here, in memory and reflection, they become a gentle framework, offering stability and comfort rather than constraint. Outside, the faint scent of night-blooming jasmine drifts through the air, mingling with the crispness of the fog. Eliza imagines herself walking along a hidden garden path, the dew cool beneath her shoes, petals brushing softly against her fingertips. She moves freely here, unobserved and unjudged, letting her mind wander and her senses awaken to the textures, scents, and subtle sounds of night. Each step is deliberate yet effortless, a private dance within a world untouched by expectation. Her breathing slows, the rhythm deep and even, matching the quiet pulse of the city beyond the window. Candlelight flickers softly across the room, casting tender shadows that stretch and sway with each gentle movement of flame. The rigidity of Victorian life, so pervasive by day, dissolves into the calm intimacy of night. In this soft, private world, Eliza drifts further into gentle sleep, carried by warmth, imagination, and the slow, soothing cadence of the night. The late-night fog drifts lazily through London's quiet streets, softening the outlines of buildings and rooftops into a silver-grey haze. The gentle glow of gas lamps illuminates small patches of cobblestone, their light shimmering in puddles from an earlier rain. The city seems suspended in a dreamlike stillness, each faint sound a distant carriage, a soft scuff of footsteps, the rustle of leaves magnified into a slow, soothing rhythm. Eliza rests beneath her bed covers, the warmth pressing softly against her body, her head cradled by the pillow. The meticulous attentions of the Datha, carefully measured curtsies, the precise modulation of conversation, the graceful arrangement of furniture and objects are a distant hum in her memory, transformed now into a comforting cadence rather than an obligation. She inhales slowly, feeling the warmth of the linens, the faint scent of lavender, and the soft flicker of candlelight surrounding her in a cocoon of calm. Her thoughts drift to the drawing room, where light from the windows had once spilled across polished floors, highlighting the gleam of silver and the careful alignment of chairs. Each gesture of propriety had been a deliberate note in a slow, quiet symphony of manners and attention, a structure that shaped life with elegance and care. In the intimacy of memory, these rules become a gentle framework, offering her mind a sense of rhythm and safety rather than constraint. Outside, the night air carries the faint fragrance of blooming night flowers, mingling with the damp, earthy scent of stone and fog. Eliza imagines stepping softly along a garden path, dew clinging to the hem of her dress, petals brushing lightly against her fingertips. Each step is quiet and deliberate, yet utterly free her mind, wandering through a private world, unobserved, unjudged, and safe. The night allows her imagination a tender escape, a moment of gentle liberation from the lattice of expectation. Her breathing slows, deep and even, in harmony with the quiet rhythm of the city beyond the window. The candlelight flickers softly, casting shadows that stretch and sway in gentle, comforting patterns. Victorian rules, rigid and insistent during the day, fade into the background, leaving only warmth, security, and the soothing unfolding of rest. In this intimate space, Eliza drifts further into sleep, wrapped in calm imagination and the tender embrace of the night. The city lies wrapped in soft, velvety darkness, the fog curling lazily around rooftops and lampposts like tendrils of silver smoke. From Eliza's window, the streets appear almost enchanted, muted and serene, with the golden light from the gas lamps casting tender pools across the wet cobblestones. Every sound a distant carriage, the soft whistle of wind through narrow alleys, the gentle creak of a shutter feels amplified in the quiet, creating a soothing, almost hypnotic rhythm. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, warmth pressing gently against her skin, her head sinking softly into the pillow. The careful attention of the diether, precise curtsies, the quiet exchanges, the vigilant adherence to rules has faded into memory, leaving her mind free to wander. The room around her glows faintly with candlelight, its soft flicker casting shadows that stretch and sway, blending with the comforting weight of her bedspread to create a serene cocoon. Her thoughts drift to the subtle details of her home, the polished surfaces of tables and floors, the delicate arrangement of flowers and books, the gentle patterns in the fabrics that line chairs and drapes. These small acts of care, once enforced by propriety, now appear to her as quiet symbols of beauty and rhythm. In the intimacy of night, she sees them not as obligations but as anchors, guiding her thoughts gently and steadily toward calm. Outside, the breeze carries the faint scent of night-blooming flowers and damp earth, mingling with the cool freshness of the fog. Eliza imagines herself walking barefoot along a moonlit path, dew soft beneath her feet, petals brushing lightly against her fingers. Here, she is free to move, unobserved and unmeasured, exploring the hidden corners of her mind and the imagined garden with a quiet grace. The contrast between her structured daytime life and this private, liberated space brings a gentle joy, a soft smile to her lips as she breathes deeply and slowly. Her breathing deepens further, matching the quiet rhythm of the city beyond the window. Candlelight flickers softly, shadows stretching and dancing across the walls. Victorian rules, so present and insistent by day, recede into the calm of night, leaving only warmth, stillness, and a gentle unfolding of rest. Wrapped in this tender embrace, Eliza drifts into sleep, her mind wandering freely, her body relaxed, and the world around her softened into soothing tranquility. The night deepens further, settling over London like a thick, silken curtain. Fog drifts slowly along the empty streets, curling around the edges of buildings and lampposts, softening the city into a gentle, dreamlike haze. The golden glow of gas lamps reflects in puddles from an earlier rain, creating delicate pools of light that shimmer quietly with each subtle ripple. The world outside is hushed, each small sound distant footsteps, a soft creak of a door, the whisper of wind through bare branches becoming a tender note in the night's lullaby. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, warmth pressing lightly against her body, the pillow cradling her head. The careful attentions of the day, the precise gestures, the curtsies, the delicate management of conversation and observation are far away now, reduced to a soft, distant hum. In their absence, the room feels expansive, a private cocoon of light, warmth, and gentle shadow, where her thoughts can wander freely, without scrutiny or judgment. Her mind drifts to the domestic rituals of her life, arranging flowers in a vase, polishing silverware until it gleams, aligning books on a shelf with precision. Each act had once been a deliberate performance of propriety, yet in memory, these details take on a soft, meditative quality. They are now anchors, guiding her mind gently, providing rhythm, stability, and quiet reassurance. The structure of Victorian life, so strict and pervasive by day, becomes a source of calm in reflection rather than constraint. Outside, the breeze carries the delicate scent of night-blooming roses and the cool freshness of damp stone. Eliza imagines herself wandering along a hidden garden path, dew wetting her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingertips. She moves slowly, deliberately, yet free and observed and unjudged, exploring the secret corners of the garden and her imagination alike. The freedom of this imagined world contrasts beautifully with the rigid order of the day, offering a tender, private liberation. Her breathing slows further, deep and even, syncing with the quiet pulse of the city outside and the gentle flicker of candlelight in her room. Shadows stretch and sway across the walls in a soothing rhythm, while the strictness of daytime propriety recedes into the background. Wrapped in this cocoon of warmth, imagination, and calm, Eliza drifts deeper into sleep, carried softly on the tide of night, where rest and tranquility unfold steadily, patiently, and completely. The night stretches on, deep and tender, blanketing London in a soft, almost sacred hush. Mist drifts slowly along the empty streets, curling around lampposts and rooftops, blurring the sharp edges of the city into a gentle, silvery haze. The golden light of gas lamps glimmers faintly in puddles on the cobblestones, their reflections dancing softly in time with the quiet rhythm of the night. Even the smallest sounds, a distant carriage, a soft footstep, the rustle of leaves seem magnified in the stillness, forming a delicate, calming symphony. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, warmth pressing softly against her skin, her head resting lightly on the pillow. The careful attentions of the datha, precise gestures, the curtsies, the artful navigation of conversation and observation have receded into memory, leaving her mind free to wander gently. The room itself, with its flickering candlelight and soft shadows, becomes a sanctuary, a space of calm and intimacy where thought and imagination can flow without interruption. Her mind drifts to the quiet rituals of her home, the polishing of silver until it gleams, the careful alignment of chairs in the drawing room, the delicate arrangement of flowers in a vase. Each act, once governed by the demands of propriety, now feels meditative, almost like a gentle choreography of attention and care. The structure of Victorian life, though strict, offers a rhythm that is soothing in retrospect, guiding her mind with subtle grace and elegance. Outside, the night air carries the faint scent of damp earth and night-blooming flowers. Eliza imagines stepping barefoot into a secret garden, dew cool beneath her feet, petals brushing lightly against her fingers. She moves slowly, deliberately, savoring the freedom of her imagined space, a private sanctuary untouched by the rules and eyes of society. Each step is a quiet celebration of liberation, a soft exploration of a world shaped by her own senses and imagination. Her breathing deepens, steady and calm, aligning with the tender pulse of the city outside and the flickering of candlelight in her room. Shadows stretch and sway, mirroring the rhythm of her own heartbeat, while the strictness of daytime propriety dissolves into the night. In this delicate cocoon of warmth, light, and imagination, Eliza drifts gently into sleep, carried by the soothing flow of calm, reflection, and tender rest. The night wraps London in its quiet embrace, thick fog curling lazily around rooftops and lampposts, softening the city into a dreamlike landscape of silver and gold. The gas lamps cast gentle pools of light on the wet cobblestones, their reflections glimmering faintly like scattered jewels. The distant toll of a bell, slow and deliberate, punctuates the hush, a rhythm steady enough to soothe even the busiest of minds. Eliza lies beneath the folds of her bedspread, the warmth pressing gently against her body. Her head sinks softly into the pillow, and her eyes close, allowing her attention to drift to the calm symphony of night. The carefully measured gestures and observations that dominated her Dartha curtsies, the polite nods, the subtle modulations of conversation feel far away now. In their place, There is only the tender rhythm of quiet and warmth, a gentle sanctuary for mind and body alike. Her thoughts wander to the small, intimate details of her daily life, the polished surfaces of tables and floors, the gentle alignment of books on a shelf, the precise placement of teacups and silverware. Each detail, once dictated by the rigid framework of propriety, now becomes a soothing pattern in her memory, a slow, deliberate choreography that guides her thoughts calmly and steadily. In this reflection, structure becomes gentle support, not constraint. Outside, the faint scent of night-blooming jasmine mingles with the crispness of damp stone, drifting into her room like a whisper. She imagines herself stepping into a hidden garden, dew cooling the tips of her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingers. Each movement is free and deliberate, unobserved, an unjudged, a tender exploration of space and sensation, a gentle release from the invisible lattice of rules that governs her waking hours. Her breathing slows further, deep and even, in harmony with the quiet pulse of the city and the flicker of candlelight that bathes her room. The shadows stretch and sway in soft patterns across the walls, echoing the steady rhythm of her heartbeat. Victorian rules, once so omnipresent, fade into a distant memory, leaving warmth, safety, and the gentle unfolding of rest. Wrapped in this tender cocoon, Eliza drifts deeper into sleep, her body sinking, her mind wandering, and the night carrying her softly toward calm, restorative peace. The night has grown even quieter, thick fog curling around the city streets, softening their edges and muting every sound into a gentle, soothing hum. The gas lamp's golden glow reflects in the wet cobblestones, scattering light like tiny stars on the ground. London feels suspended in a delicate stillness, where even the smallest movement's a distant carriage. The whisper of wind through bare branches, the creak of a shutter becomes soft, deliberate notes in the nocturnal symphony. Eliza lies beneath the warm folds of her bed covers, the weight pressing gently against her body, her head resting comfortably on the pillow. The meticulous attentions of the day, careful curtsies, measured words, precise observation of etiquette into a soft, distant memory. In the quiet intimacy of her room, she allows herself to release the constant awareness, letting her mind wander freely in the calm, safe space she has created for herself. Her thoughts drift to the drawing room, polished floors reflecting light, chairs aligned with exacting precision, and ornaments arranged with care. These small acts of propriety, once a daily necessity, now feel like quiet rhythms guiding her imagination. The structure of Victorian life, so pervasive and rigid during the day, becomes in memory a gentle cadence, offering stability and comfort as her mind drifts towards sleep. Outside, the night air carries the delicate scent of blooming flowers and damp stone. Eliza imagines stepping into a secluded garden, dew wetting the tips of her skirts, petals brushing softly against her fingertips. Each movement is deliberate yet free, unobserved and unjudged, a private dance through moonlit pathways where she can explore the textures, scents, and subtle sounds of night. The contrast between the day's discipline and the night's freedom fills her with quiet joy and gentle serenity. Her breathing slows, deep and rhythmic, matching the tender pulse of the city beyond the window and the flickering of candlelight in her room. Shadows stretch across the walls, swaying softly in harmony with her calm heartbeat. Victorian rules, once pressing and constant, fade into the background, leaving warmth, intimacy, and the soothing unfolding of rest. Wrapped in this gentle cocoon, Eliza drifts further into sleep, carried softly on the tide of night, where calm, reflection, and restorative peace await. The night deepens, the fog settling over London like a soft, silken veil. The The streets below appear muted and otherworldly, the gas lamps glowing through the haze in gentle, golden circles. Puddles glimmer faintly on the cobblestones, reflecting the delicate light and turning the streets into a quiet, glimmering river. Every distant sound a faint carriage, a rustle of leaves, a soft, hurried footstep feels magnified in the hush, forming a soothing, measured rhythm that stretches across the city. Eliza lies beneath her warm bed covers, the soft weight pressing against her body, her pillow cradling her head in tender support. The meticulous care and attention of her Datha, measured gestures, curtsies, and carefully observed social rules have faded into gentle memory. In this quiet hour, she inhabits a private sanctuary of warmth, candlelight, and soft shadows, a space where her mind can wander without oversight or expectation. Her thoughts drift to the intricate patterns of her home, the careful placement of books, the polished gleam of tables and floors, the subtle arrangement of flowers that bring quiet elegance to each room. These once strict rituals now take on a meditative quality, a rhythm that guides her mind gently, providing comfort and stability rather than demanding perfection. In the intimacy of reflection, structure becomes a soothing companion rather than a constraint. Outside, the faint fragrance of night-blooming flowers mingles with the crisp coolness of the fog. Eliza imagines stepping softly into a moonlit garden, dew clinging to her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingertips. She moves deliberately, yet freely, unobserved and unjudged, exploring hidden corners and pathways where imagination reigns and the rigid expectations of society do not reach. Each step brings a quiet pleasure, a gentle liberation that calms and restores. Her breathing slows, deep and steady, syncing with the quiet rhythm of the city and the flickering of candlelight in her room. Shadows stretch and sway gently across the walls, echoing the tender pulse of her heartbeat. Victorian rules, so demanding in the light of day, recede into the comforting background of night, leaving warmth, stillness, and a gentle unfolding of calm. In this serene cocoon, Eliza drifts further into sleep, wrapped in peace, imagination, and the soft embrace of the night. The night continues to unfold slowly, each moment wrapped in a soft, velvety hush. Outside, the fog drifts through the streets like a gentle tide, curling around lampposts and doorways, muffling the faintest sounds and smoothing the edges of the city. The golden light from the gas lamps casts tender, shimmering reflections across the wet cobblestones, creating a dreamlike glow that stretches into the distance. Every soft whisper of wind, every faint, distant footstep contributes to a delicate rhythm that lulls the city into a deeper calm. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, the warmth pressing gently against her body, her head sinking slightly into the pillow. The careful attentions of her Datha, precise gestures, curtsies, and artful navigation of conversation fade into the quiet background, leaving space for the slow, soothing unfolding of thought. Her room, bathed in flickering candlelight, becomes a sanctuary, a soft cocoon of warmth and shadow where her mind is free to wander safely and gently. Her thoughts drift to the quiet rituals that fill her days, arranging flowers in perfect harmony, polishing silver until it gleams, aligning books and trinkets just so. Each act, once dictated by the rigid expectations of society, now appears as a tender meditation, a slow, comforting rhythm that steadies the mind and offers a quiet joy. The framework of Victorian rules transforms in reflection into a source of gentle support rather than strict oversight. Outside, the air carries the faint scent of night-blooming flowers and damp stone. Mingling in the mist that swirls around the garden path she imagines stepping onto, dew softens the earth beneath her feet, petals brushing lightly against her fingers as she moves. Each step is deliberate yet free, unobserved and unjudged, a private exploration of texture, scent, and sound. Here, she can exist entirely in her own time, a gentle release from the measured precision of daylight. Her breathing slows, deep and steady, harmonizing with the soft pulse of the city beyond her window and the flicker of candlelight in her room. Shadows sway tenderly across the walls, echoing the calm rhythm of her heartbeat. The strictness of Victorian life recedes into the distance, leaving warmth, tranquility, and a quiet unfolding of rest. In this intimate cocoon, Eliza drifts further into sleep, carried softly on the tide of night, her mind and body fully embraced by calm and gentle peace. The night deepens into its slow, tender rhythm. The fog drifts lazily through London's streets, curling around rooftops and lampposts, muting the city into a soft, silvery dreamscape. Gas lamps cast gentle, golden halos on the wet cobblestones, their light reflected in puddles like liquid jewels scattered across the ground. Each distant sound the faint clatter of a carriage, a soft step. The rustle of leaves carries clearly in the hush, a slow, deliberate cadence that seems to wrap the entire city in calm. Eliza lies beneath her bedcovers, warmth pressing lightly against her limbs, her head sinking softly into the pillow. The day's careful attentions, curtsies, measured conversation, and the subtle negotiation of social expectation recede into memory, leaving her free in the intimate, candlelit sanctuary of her room. Shadows dance gently across the walls, flickering with the light, forming shapes that are soothing rather than intrusive, slow and tender in their movement. Her mind drifts to the quiet details of her home, the polished surfaces of tables, the alignment of books on a shelf, the soft arrangements of flowers and objects that lend subtle order and beauty. In the strict cadence of Victorian life, these acts had once been obligations. Now, in reflection, they are gentle rhythms, guiding her thoughts and offering quiet reassurance. Structure becomes comfort rather than constraint, a slow, deliberate framework that steadies her as she drifts toward sleep. Outside, the air carries the faint scent of night-blooming jasmine, mingling with the cool freshness of the fog. Eliza imagines walking along a secluded garden path, dew clinging to her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingertips. Each step is slow and deliberate, yet utterly free, unobserved and unjudged. The quiet freedom of the night, contrasted with the discipline of the day, fills her with calm joy and gentle serenity. Her breathing deepens, steady and rhythmic, matching the pulse of the quiet city and the soft flicker of candlelight in her room. Shadows sway in gentle patterns, echoing her heartbeat and the tender cadence of night. Victorian rules, so demanding in the light of day, melt away into the soft intimacy of night, leaving warmth, security, and the soothing flow of rest. In this gentle cocoon, Eliza drifts further into sleep, carried softly on the tide of calm and quiet imagination. The night holds the city in a hushed, almost sacred stillness. The fog rolls gently along the cobblestones, curling round the bases of lampposts and the corners of buildings, softening each outline into a tender blur. The golden glow of gas lamps glimmers on puddles, casting soft reflections that dance gently with the slightest ripple. Every distant sound, a carriage fading into silence, a subtle footstep, the soft rustle of leaves blends into a gentle symphony that carries across the sleeping streets. Eliza lies wrapped in her bedcovers, the warmth pressing softly against her body. Her head rests lightly on the pillow, and she allows herself to release the attentions and careful observations of the Datha curtsies, the polite nods, the precise modulation of conversation. In the quiet intimacy of her candlelit room, she finds a gentle sanctuary, a space where her mind can drift freely, unhurried and unobserved. Her thoughts wandered to the rhythm of her home, the polished surfaces of tables, the careful arrangement of books on shelves, the subtle placement of ornaments and flowers. Once strict requirements of propriety, these details now become soft, meditative patterns that guide her mind toward calm. The discipline of Victorian life, so insistent by day, transforms into a framework of gentle structure and stability, a quiet comfort as she prepares for rest. Outside, the faint scent of night-blooming flowers drifts on the cool breeze, mingling with the damp, earthy aroma of stone and fog. Eliza imagines stepping into a secluded garden, dew wetting the tips of her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingers. Each step is slow, deliberate, yet free, a private journey through moonlit paths where imagination reigns and expectation does not reach. The freedom of this imagined space offers a tender sense of liberation, a calm joy that eases the mind and body. Her breathing grows slow and even, harmonizing with the soft pulse of the city beyond the window and the flickering candlelight in her room. Shadows sway gently across the walls, mirroring the rhythm of her own heartbeat. The weight of Victorian rules, pressing and persistent during the day, recedes into the background, leaving warmth, calm, and the gentle unfolding of sleep. Wrapped in this cocoon of comfort and imagination, Eliza drifts further into rest, carried softly on the tide of night. The night deepens into a slow, steady rhythm, the fog wrapping the city streets in a soft, silvery blanket. The golden glow of gas lamps shimmers through the mist, reflecting in puddles on the cobblestones like tiny pools of liquid light. Every distant sound a carriage fading into the quiet, a lone footstep. The whisper of wind through bare branches feels amplified in the hush, creating a gentle cadence that stretches across the sleeping city. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, the warmth pressing gently against her body, her head sinking into the pillow. The meticulous attentions of the Datha, precise gestures, curtsies, and the careful observance of social rules fade into memory, leaving her mind free to drift in the calm intimacy of her room. The soft flicker of candlelight casts shadows across the walls, moving slowly, tenderly, as if keeping time with her breathing. Her thoughts wander to the quiet details of her home, the polished surfaces of tables, the gentle alignment of chairs, the careful arrangement of flowers in a vase. Each act, once dictated by propriety and social expectation, now becomes a soothing rhythm, a slow, meditative dance of attention and care. The structure of Victorian life transforms in memory into a quiet companion, guiding her mind gently rather than confining it. Outside, the night air carries the delicate scent of blooming flowers, mingling with the cool dampness of stone and fog. Eliza imagines herself stepping into a hidden garden, dew soaking her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingers. Each step is deliberate yet free, unobserved and unjudged, a private exploration of the textures, scents, and sounds of night. The contrast between daytime discipline and nocturnal freedom brings a soft joy, a gentle serenity that settles over her body and mind. Her breathing slows further, deep and even, syncing with the tender pulse of the city and the flickering candlelight. Shadows stretch and sway across the walls in harmony with her heartbeat. The strictness of Victorian life, so pervasive in the daylight hours, melts into the soft, comforting intimacy of night. In this gentle cocoon of warmth, calm, and imagination, Eliza drifts further into sleep, carried tenderly on the slow, soothing tide of night. The night stretches on, soft and unhurried, the fog curling lazily along London's streets. Gas lamps glow through the mist in gentle golden circles, their reflections shimmering faintly in puddles on the cobblestones. The distant sounds of the city, the faint echo of a carriage, a soft footstep, the gentle sigh of wind through bare branches create a quiet rhythm that hums through the sleeping streets, soothing and unbroken. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, warmth pressing softly against her body, her head resting lightly on the pillow. The day's attentions, the carefully measured gestures, curtsies, and modulation of conversation had receded into memory, leaving a calm space for her mind to wander freely. The candlelight flickers across the walls, casting soft, shifting shadows that seem to move with the pulse of the night itself, slow and deliberate. Her thoughts drift to the intimate details of her home, polished floors reflecting the glow of sunlight and lamplight, books aligned with precision on the shelves, flowers arranged in gentle harmony. Once these were acts of strict propriety, required by societal expectation, but in reflection, they are tender rhythms, meditative and comforting, offering a sense of order and continuity as her mind drifts towards sleep. Outside, the night air carries the faint scent of night-blooming flowers, mingling with the damp, earthy aroma of stone and fog. Eliza imagines stepping softly into a hidden garden, dew wetting her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingertips. Each movement is deliberate yet free, unobserved and unjudged, a private exploration of textures, scents, and the quiet music of the night. The gentle liberation of this imagined space contrasts tenderly with the rigid structure of her daytime life, filling her with calm and quiet joy. Her breathing slows further, deep and steady, aligning with the tender pulse of the city and the flickering candlelight in her room. Shadows sway softly, echoing her heartbeat and the rhythmic cadence of night. The strict, ever-present Victorian rules dissolve into the quiet, leaving warmth, safety, and the soothing unfolding of rest. In this intimate cocoon, Eliza drifts further into sleep, carried gently on the tender tide of night, her mind and body resting fully in calm serenity. The night moves with deliberate calm, a slow, tender rhythm that wraps the city in quiet and gentle shadow. Fog drifts softly along the streets, curling round lampposts and rooftops, muting the sounds of the city into a hushed symphony. The warm glow of gas lamps reflects in puddles on the cobblestones, scattering light like liquid gold. Even the smallest noises of distant carriage, a soft footfall, the whisper of wind through bare branches become soft, deliberate notes, creating a soothing cadence that stretches across the sleeping streets. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, the warmth pressing gently against her body, her head sinking lightly into the pillow. The precise attentions of the day, the curtsies, the careful management of conversation, the subtle negotiation of social expectation fade into memory. In their absence, her room becomes a sanctuary, a quiet cocoon where her mind can wander, her body can relax, and her imagination can roam freely without judgment. Her thoughts drift to the quiet rituals of her home, the polished surfaces of tables and floors, the gentle alignment of books on shelves, the careful arrangement of flowers in vases. Each act, once dictated by societal propriety, now becomes a slow, meditative rhythm, a tender choreography of attention and care. The framework of Victorian life transforms in reflection, offering stability, gentle support, and soft comfort as her thoughts drift toward rest. Outside, the night carries the delicate scent of blooming flowers, mingling with the cool dampness of stone and fog. Eliza imagines stepping into a hidden garden, duetting her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingers. Each step is deliberate yet free, unobserved and unjudged, a private exploration of textures, scents, and the soft, quiet sounds of night. The contrast between her disciplined daytime world and this nocturnal freedom brings a gentle serenity and quiet joy. Her breathing slows, deep and even, harmonizing with the soft pulse of the city beyond the window and the flicker of candlelight within her room. Shadows stretch and sway gently across the walls, echoing the rhythm of her heartbeat. Victorian rules, so strict and pervasive in daylight, recede into the tender embrace of night, leaving warmth, intimacy, and the soothing flow of rest. Wrapped in this cocoon, Eliza drifts further into sleep, carried softly on the calm, steady tide of night. The night lingers, thick and slow, as fog drifts silently through London's streets. It curls around rooftops and lampposts, softening sharp edges into a gentle silver haze. Gas lamps cast warm, golden pools of light on the wet cobblestones, their reflections trembling slightly in puddles, like a quiet, shimmering river. The city itself seems to breathe in harmony with the stillness, each faint sound a distant carriage, a soft footfall, a whisper of wind blending into a soothing, rhythmic lullaby. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, warmth pressing softly against her body, her head sinking gently into the pillow. The meticulous attentions of the Datha, careful gestures, the curtsies, the delicate modulation of conversation have melted into the background. In this quiet room, bathed in candlelight, she finds a gentle sanctuary, a cocoon where thought and imagination can flow freely, where she can move effortlessly between memory and dream. Her mind drifts to the small, intimate rhythms of her home, the polished gleam of furniture, the careful alignment of chairs and books, the subtle arrangement of flowers in vases. These acts, once dictated by strict propriety, now offer a soft rhythm and quiet reassurance. Structure becomes a comforting guide rather than a cage, and each familiar detail contributes to the gentle unfolding of her mind toward rest. Outside, the cool night air carries the delicate scent of blooming jasmine mingled with damp stone. Eliza imagines herself stepping barefoot into a secluded garden, dew moistening her skirts, petals brushing softly against her fingertips. She moves slowly, deliberately, yet freely unobserved, unjudged, exploring hidden corners and quiet paths where the rigid rules of society cannot follow. The private freedom of this imagined world brings a gentle calm, a quiet joy that settles her fully into the night. Her breathing slows, deep and even, matching the tender pulse of the city and the flickering candlelight within her room. Shadows stretch and sway softly, mirroring her heartbeat and the steady rhythm of the night. The demands of Victorian life, so constant by day, dissolve into the background, leaving warmth, serenity, and the slow, soothing progression of rest. In this delicate cocoon, Eliza drifts further into sleep, carried gently by the soft, unwavering tide of the night. The night stretches quietly across the city, thick with fog that drifts lazily along the streets. Lampposts glow softly through the haze, casting golden circles on the wet cobblestones that shimmer faintly with every ripple of the air. The faint, distant sounds of the city, the echo of a carriage, the soft scuff of footsteps, the rustle of leaves blend together into a gentle, rhythmic symphony, a lullaby whispered by the city itself. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, warmth pressing gently against her body, her head resting softly on the pillow. The precise attentions of the Datha curtsies, the careful words, the subtle navigation of social rules fade into the background, leaving only the tender calm of her room. Candlelight flickers, casting dancing shadows that stretch and sway across the walls, moving slowly, in harmony with her heartbeat and the slow pulse of the night. Her thoughts drift to the quiet details of her home, the polished surfaces of tables and floors, the careful alignment of books on shelves, the gentle placement of ornaments and flowers. Once, these acts were dictated by propriety. Now, they become soothing patterns, gentle rhythms that guide her mind into a slow, meditative state. Victorian structure transforms into quiet support, a comforting cadence that eases her toward restful sleep. Outside, the night carries the delicate scent of jasmine and damp stone, drifting through the air with the soft touch of fog. Eliza imagines walking barefoot through a moonlit garden, dew moistening her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingertips. Each step is deliberate yet free, unobserved and unjudged, a quiet dance through textures, scents, and the soft music of night. The private freedom of this imagined space brings calm, serenity, and gentle delight. Her breathing slows, deep and even, syncing with the tender rhythm of the city beyond her window and the flickering candlelight in her room. Shadows stretch and sway, echoing her heartbeat and the quiet cadence of night. Victorian rules, so present and strict during the day, fade softly into the background, leaving warmth, safety, and the gentle unfolding of rest. In this intimate cocoon, Eliza drifts further into sleep, carried softly on the soothing tide of the night. The night has settled into its slow, deliberate rhythm, the fog drifting silently through London's streets. Lampposts glow softly, casting golden circles on the glistening cobblestones, their reflections shimmering faintly in puddles. Every distant sound, the echo of a carriage, a soft step on wet stone, the whisper of wind through bare branches becomes a tender note in the hushed symphony of the sleeping city. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, warmth pressing gently against her body, her head sinking lightly into the pillow. The careful attentions of the Datha, precise gestures, the measured curtsies, the subtle navigation of conversation have faded into memory. The candlelight flickers softly across her room, casting gentle, swaying shadows that move in harmony with the slow pulse of the night. Her thoughts drift to the intimate details of her home, polished tables reflecting faint light, books aligned with quiet precision, flowers arranged in gentle, deliberate harmony. Once dictated by propriety, these acts now offer calm and stability, a rhythm that guides her mind toward gentle reflection. Structure becomes a comforting presence rather than a demand, a slow cadence that soothes as she prepares for rest. Outside, the air carries the faint fragrance of blooming night flowers, mingling with damp stone. Eliza imagines herself walking through a secluded garden, dew wetting her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingertips. Each step is slow, deliberate, yet free and observed, unjudged, a private exploration of textures, scents, and the soft music of night. The contrast between her structured daytime life and the gentle freedom of this imagined space brings serenity, calm, and quiet joy. Her breathing slows, deep and even, matching the tender rhythm of the city and the flicker of candlelight in her room. Shadows stretch and sway gently across the walls, echoing her heartbeat and the soothing cadence of the night. The pressures of Victorian rules dissolve into the background, leaving warmth, calm, and the gentle unfolding of sleep. In this cocoon of comfort and imagination, Eliza drifts further into rest, carried softly by the slow, steady tide of night. The night deepens, draping London in a soft, velvety darkness. Fog drifts silently along the streets, curling around rooftops and lampposts, blurring the edges of the city into gentle, dreamlike shapes. The warm glow of gas lamps reflects in puddles on the cobblestones, scattering light in slow, flickering patterns. Every faint sound, a distant carriage, a soft step, the rustle of leaves seems amplified in the hush, forming a delicate rhythm that soothes the mind and eases the body. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, warmth pressing softly against her skin, her head sinking into the pillow. The attentions of the Datha, careful gestures, curtsies, and measured exchanges of conversation fade into memory, leaving a gentle calm in their place. Candlelight flickers across the walls, casting shadows that move slowly, gracefully, in harmony with her breathing and the tender pulse of the night. Her thoughts drift to the quiet rhythms of her home, polished surfaces reflecting light, books aligned with care, ornaments and flowers arranged in delicate harmony. Once dictated by propriety, these details now form a comforting pattern, a gentle choreography that guides her mind toward reflection and peace. Victorian structure, though strict by day, becomes a soft companion, offering rhythm and reassurance rather than constraint. Outside, the night air carries the scent of blooming jasmine, mingled with the cool dampness of stone and fog. Eliza imagines herself wandering along a hidden garden path, dew moistening her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingertips. She moves deliberately, yet freely, and observed and unjudged, a tender exploration of textures, scents, and the quiet music of the night. The contrast between daytime discipline and nocturnal liberty fills her with gentle serenity, a quiet joy that settles fully over her body and mind. Her breathing slows, deep and steady, syncing with the soft pulse of the city and the flickering candlelight within her room. Shadows stretch and sway gently, mirroring the rhythm of her heartbeat. Victorian rules, so rigid and pervasive by day, fade into the background, leaving warmth, calm, and the slow, soothing unfolding of rest. In this intimate cocoon, Eliza drifts further into sleep, carried softly on the tender tide of night. The night stretches on, heavy with calm and stillness. Fog drifts lazily through London's streets, curling around rooftops and lampposts, softening the city into a gentle, silvery haze. Gas lamps glow warmly through the mist, casting tender reflections in puddles on the cobblestones, their light dancing softly with the slightest ripple. Even the faintest sounds, a distant carriage, a soft footfall, the rustle of leaves blend into a quiet, unbroken rhythm, a lullaby whispered by the sleeping city. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, the warmth pressing softly against her body, her head sinking gently into the pillow. The careful attentions of the Datha, precise gestures, curtsies, and subtle observance of social rules have receded into memory, leaving space for quiet reflection and gentle thought. The candlelight flickers softly, casting shadows that sway slowly across the walls, mirroring the gentle pulse of the night. Her mind drifts to the serene rituals of her home, the polished tables and floors reflecting the soft glow of light, books arranged with quiet precision, flowers set delicately in vases. These once mandatory acts of propriety now offer a soothing rhythm, guiding her thoughts calmly and tenderly. Victorian structure transforms into a comforting companion, providing quiet stability as she drifts further toward rest. Outside, the night air carries the soft fragrance of blooming jasmine mingling with damp stone. Eliza imagines stepping into a hidden garden, dew wetting her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingertips. Each movement is slow and deliberate, yet entirely free and unjudged, a private journey through textures, scents, and the quiet, musical pulse of night. The contrast between daytime precision and nocturnal freedom brings gentle serenity and soft joy, settling over her completely. Her breathing deepens, slow and even, syncing with the quiet pulse of the city and the flickering candlelight within her room. Shadows stretch and sway softly, echoing her heartbeat and the tender cadence of the night. The rigid expectations of Victorian life melt into the background, leaving warmth, tranquility, and the gentle unfolding of sleep. Wrapped in this intimate cocoon, Eliza drifts further into rest, carried gently on the soft tide of night. The night seems endless, draped in soft shadows and thick, rolling fog that drifts slowly through the streets of London. Gas lamps cast gentle golden circles on the glistening cobblestones, their reflections shimmering faintly in puddles. Every distant sound a carriage fading into silence, a soft footstep. The rustle of leaves in the wind blends into a soothing, unbroken rhythm, as if the city itself is breathing in time with the night. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, warmth pressing tenderly against her body, her head sinking lightly into the pillow. The precise attentions of the Datha, measured gestures, curtsies, and careful management of conversation have melted into memory, leaving a calm, intimate space for thought and reflection. Candlelight flickers softly across the walls, casting gentle, swaying shadows that seem to dance in harmony with the slow pulse of the night. Her mind drifts to the small, comforting details of her home, polished floors and tables reflecting soft light, books arranged with care, delicate ornaments and flowers aligned in gentle symmetry. Once dictated by strict social rules, these details now form a quiet rhythm, a tender pattern that guides her thoughts gently and offers reassurance as her mind and body prepare for rest. Victorian structure, once so rigid, becomes a soft companion, providing subtle comfort rather than constraint. Outside, the air carries the faint scent of night-blooming flowers, mingling with the cool, damp stone. Eliza imagines herself stepping into a secluded garden, dew wetting her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingers. She moves slowly, deliberately, yet freely unobserved and unjudged, exploring hidden corners and quiet paths where imagination reigns and societal expectation cannot reach. This private liberty brings soft serenity, a gentle joy that settles over her, easing both body and mind. Her breathing slows, deep and even, syncing with the quiet rhythm of the city and the flickering candlelight in her room. Shadows sway tenderly, echoing her heartbeat and the gentle cadence of night. The strict expectations of Victorian life recede into the background, leaving warmth, intimacy, and the slow, soothing flow of rest. In this cocoon of comfort and imagination, Eliza drifts further into sleep, carried softly on the steady tide of night. The night stretches quietly across London, the fog drifting like a slow, silken river through the streets. Gas lamps glow softly through the mist, casting tender golden halos on the wet cobblestones. The city is hushed, each distant sound a carriage fading into the distance, a soft footfall, the rustle of leaves blending into a gentle, unbroken rhythm, a lullaby whispered by the sleeping streets. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, the warmth pressing softly against her body, her head sinking into the pillow. The day's careful attentions, the curtsies, the precise words, the measured gestures have dissolved into memory, leaving a calm space for reflection and rest. Candlelight flickers gently across the walls, casting slow-moving shadows that sway with her breathing, as if keeping time with the tender pulse of the night. Her thoughts wander to the quiet rhythms of her home, polished surfaces reflecting the soft light, books arranged with gentle care, delicate ornaments and flowers aligned perfectly. These acts, once dictated by strict propriety, now become meditative patterns, guiding her thoughts softly and calmly. The structure of Victorian life, rigid by day, transforms into a comforting rhythm that soothes and reassures as she drifts further towards sleep. Outside, the night air carries the delicate fragrance of blooming jasmine mingled with damp stone. Eliza imagines stepping barefoot into a secluded garden, dew moistening her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingers. Each step is deliberate, yet free and observed unjudged, a quiet exploration of textures, scents, and the soft music of the night. The contrast between the precision of her daytime life and the gentle freedom of this imagined space brings soft serenity and quiet joy, settling fully over her body and mind. Her breathing slows, deep and even, harmonizing with the tender pulse of the city and the flickering candlelight in her room. Shadows stretch and sway gently across the walls, echoing the rhythm of her heartbeat and the steady cadence of night. The strict expectations of Victorian life melt into the background, leaving warmth, tranquility, and the gentle unfolding of rest. In this intimate cocoon, Eliza drifts further into sleep, carried tenderly on the soft, unwavering tide of night. The night lingers in a slow, unbroken rhythm, thick fog curling through London's streets and softening the edges of buildings and lampposts. Gas lamps glow with a gentle, golden light, casting tender reflections on the wet cobblestones. Each distant sound, a carriage fading into the quiet, a soft footstep, the rustle of leaves in the wind becomes part of a soothing, continuous melody, a lullaby whispered by the sleeping city. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, warmth pressing softly against her body, her head sinking lightly into the pillow. The careful attentions of the day, the precise gestures, curtsies, and measured conversation fade into memory, leaving her mind free to wander in the tender calm of her room. Candlelight flickers across the walls, casting shadows that stretch and sway gently, moving in harmony with the pulse of the night. Her thoughts drift to the quiet rhythms of her home, polished surfaces reflecting light, books aligned with care, flowers arranged in delicate harmony. Once acts of strict propriety, these details now form a soothing pattern, a gentle choreography that guides her thoughts toward calm and rest. The structure of Victorian life transforms in reflection into a comforting rhythm, offering subtle stability and quiet reassurance. Outside, the night air carries the faint scent of blooming jasmine mingled with the cool dampness of stone. Eliza imagines herself stepping into a hidden garden, dew wetting her skirts, petals brushing softly against her fingers. Each step is slow, deliberate, yet free and observed, an unjudged, a private exploration of texture, scent, and sound. The freedom of this imagined space brings serenity and gentle joy, settling softly over her body and mind. Her breathing deepens, slow and steady, syncing with the quiet pulse of the city and the flickering candlelight within her room. Shadows sway tenderly, echoing her heartbeat and the soft rhythm of night. Victorian rules, so strict and present during the day, fade into the comforting background, leaving warmth, intimacy, and the gentle unfolding of rest. Wrapped in this quiet cocoon, Eliza drifts further into sleep, carried gently on the tender tide of night. The night lingers, draped in soft shadow and tender fog that drifts silently through London's streets. Gas lamps glow warmly through the mist, casting golden circles that shimmer on the wet cobblestones. The city is hushed, each distant sound a carriage fading into the distance, a soft footstep, the whisper of wind through bare branches blending into a quiet, unbroken rhythm. It is as if the world itself is breathing slowly, a lullaby carried gently through the empty streets. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, warmth pressing softly against her body, her head sinking gently into the pillow. The day's precise attentions, the curtsies, measured words, and careful negotiation of social expectation have receded into memory, leaving a calm, private space for thought and reflection. Candlelight flickers across the walls, casting soft shadows that move in gentle, rhythmic patterns, in harmony with her heartbeat and the slow pulse of the night. Her thoughts drift to the familiar details of her home, polished floors reflecting light, books aligned with care, ornaments and flowers arranged with delicate precision. Once dictated by propriety, these acts now provide a gentle, meditative rhythm, guiding her mind slowly toward rest. Victorian structure transforms into a comforting companion, a steady cadence that eases her into a state of calm and serenity. Outside, the night air carries the subtle scent of blooming jasmine and damp stone. Eliza imagines herself walking along a secluded garden path, dew moistening her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingertips. Each step is deliberate, yet free and observed, unjudged, a private journey through textures, scents, and the quiet music of night. The contrast between daytime precision and nocturnal freedom brings tender serenity and quiet joy, a soft settling over her body and mind. Her breathing slows further, deep and steady, aligning with the tender rhythm of the city and the flickering candlelight in her room. Shadows stretch and sway gently across the walls, echoing her heartbeat and the gentle cadence of night. The rigid expectations of Victorian life dissolve into the background, leaving warmth, intimacy, and the soft unfolding of rest. In this cocoon of comfort and imagination, Eliza drifts further into sleep, carried softly on the calm, steady tide of night. The night deepens, slow and tender, as fog curls lazily along the streets of London. Gas lamps glow softly through the haze, casting golden reflections on wet cobblestones, shimmering like gentle sparks of light in the quiet. Each distant sound, a carriage fading into silence, a soft step on stone, the whisper of wind through bare branches blends into a serene, continuous rhythm, a quiet symphony that soothes the city and its sleepers alike. Eliza lies beneath her bedcovers, warmth pressing gently against her body, her head sinking softly into the pillow. The attentions of the day, the precise gestures, curtsies, and careful observation of social rules have melted into memory, leaving a calm, intimate space for reflection and imagination. Candlelight flickers across the walls, casting shadows that sway slowly, tenderly, in harmony with the rhythm of her heartbeat and the soft pulse of the night. Her thoughts drift to the comforting rituals of her home, polished tables reflecting candlelight, books arranged with care, delicate ornaments and flowers set in gentle symmetry. Once acts dictated by propriety, these details now form a soothing pattern, a quiet choreography that guides her mind toward rest and serenity. Victorian structure, once rigid and insistent, becomes a soft companion, a gentle cadence that reassures and steadies as she drifts towards sleep. Outside, the air carries the subtle scent of night-blooming jasmine, mingling with the cool dampness of stone. Eliza imagines herself stepping into a hidden garden, dew moistening her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingers. Each movement is deliberate, yet free, unobserved and unjudged, a private exploration of textures, scents, and the quiet, musical pulse of the night. The contrast between the day's discipline and nocturnal liberty fills her with soft joy and tender calm, easing her fully into rest. Her breathing slows, deep and steady, syncing with the gentle pulse of the city and the flickering candlelight in her room. Shadows stretch and sway gently, echoing her heartbeat and the quiet cadence of night. The strict expectations of Victorian life dissolve into the background, leaving warmth, tranquility, and the gentle unfolding of sleep. Wrapped in this cocoon of calm and imagination, Eliza drifts further into rest, carried softly on the tender tide of night. The night drapes itself over London like a soft, velvety cloak. Fog curling slowly along the streets and through narrow alleyways. Gas lamps glow with a tender, golden light, reflecting softly in puddles on the cobblestones. The faintest sounds, the distant echo of a carriage, a soft footstep, The rustle of leaves in the breeze blends seamlessly into the hush, forming a delicate, soothing rhythm that carries through the quiet city. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, warmth pressing gently against her body, her head sinking lightly into the pillow. The attentions of the Datha, careful gestures, curtsies, and measured words have receded into memory, leaving space for gentle reflection and calm. Candlelight flickers across the walls, casting soft, swaying shadows that move slowly in harmony with her breathing and the tender pulse of night. Her thoughts drift to the familiar rhythms of her home, polished surfaces reflecting the flickering candlelight, books arranged with care, delicate ornaments and flowers aligned just so. These acts, once dictated by social propriety, now form a soothing cadence, a quiet meditation that eases her mind and comforts her spirit. Victorian structure transforms into a gentle guide, offering stability and quiet reassurance as she drifts towards sleep. Outside, the night carries the soft scent of blooming jasmine mingling with damp stone. Eliza imagines herself stepping into a hidden garden, duetting her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingertips. Each step is deliberate yet free, unobserved and unjudged, private exploration of textures, scents, and the tender music of night. The contrast between the strict daytime world and this nocturnal freedom brings serenity and gentle delight, settling fully over her body and mind. Her breathing slows, deep and even, harmonizing with the quiet pulse of the city and the flickering candlelight. Shadows sway softly across the walls, mirroring her heartbeat and the calm cadence of night. The demands of Victorian life fade into the background, leaving warmth, intimacy, and the slow, soothing flow of rest. In this gentle cocoon, Eliza drifts further into sleep, carried softly on the tide of night. The night flows gently over London, thick fog curling slowly along the streets, softening the edges of buildings and lampposts into tender, dreamlike shapes. Gas lamps glow warmly through the mist, casting gentle reflections on wet cobblestones, their light flickering softly in harmony with the quiet pulse of the city. Every faint sound of carriage fading into the distance. A soft footfall, the rustle of leaves in the breeze melds into a gentle, unbroken rhythm, a lullaby that soothes the mind and eases the body. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, warmth pressing tenderly against her body, her head sinking lightly into the pillow. The meticulous attentions of the Datha, precise gestures, curtsies, and subtle observation of social expectations have melted into the background, leaving a calm sanctuary for thought, imagination, and rest. Candlelight flickers across the walls, casting soft, swaying shadows that echo the slow rhythm of her breathing and the tender cadence of night. Her thoughts drift to the quiet patterns of her home, polished tables reflecting soft light, books aligned with care, ornaments and flowers arranged delicately. Once strict obligations, these acts now form a soothing rhythm, a gentle choreography of attention and care that guides her mind toward serenity. Victorian rules, so rigid by day, transform in reflection into a comforting framework, a gentle cadence that eases her into rest. Outside, the night carries the subtle scent of blooming jasmine mingling with damp stone. Eliza imagines walking along a secluded garden path, dew moistening her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingers. Each step is deliberate, yet free and observed, an unjudged or private exploration of textures, scents, and the soft music of the night. The contrast between the structured daytime world and nocturnal liberty brings tender calm and quiet joy, settling fully over her body and mind. Her breathing slows, deep and even, aligning with the gentle pulse of the city and the flickering candlelight in her room. Shadows stretch and sway softly across the walls, echoing her heartbeat in the slow cadence of night. The strict pressures of Victorian life dissolve into the background, leaving warmth, intimacy, and the tender unfolding of sleep. In this cocoon of calm and imagination, Eliza drifts further into rest, carried softly on the quiet tide of night. The night has deepened, wrapped around London in thick, tender fog that drifts slowly through the streets. Gas lamps glow warmly, casting soft golden pools of light on the glistening cobblestones. The faintest sounds, the echo of a distant carriage, a soft footstep, the whisper of wind through bare branches blend into a quiet, continuous rhythm, as if the city itself is breathing in slow, deliberate time. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, warmth pressing softly against her body, her head sinking gently into the pillow. The precise attentions of the Datha, careful gestures, curtsies, and subtle observances of social rules have faded into memory, leaving space for calm reflection and gentle thought. Candlelight flickers across her room, casting soft shadows that move slowly, tenderly, in time with her heartbeat and the pulse of the night. Her thoughts drift to the intimate details of her home, polished tables reflecting soft light, books aligned with quiet care, delicate ornaments and flowers arranged in subtle harmony. Once acts of propriety, these details now form a soothing rhythm, a gentle pattern that guides her thoughts toward serenity. Victorian structure transforms into a comforting cadence, a slow, meditative rhythm that eases her into rest. Outside, the night air carries the delicate scent of blooming jasmine mingling with damp stone. Elisa imagines stepping into a secluded garden, dew wetting her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingers. Each movement is deliberate, yet free and unjudged, a private exploration of textures, scents, and the soft music of night. The gentle liberation of this imagined space brings serenity and quiet joy, enveloping her body and mind. Her breathing slows, deep and even, harmonizing with the quiet pulse of the city and the flickering candlelight within her room. Shadows sway gently across the walls, echoing her heartbeat and the slow cadence of night. The rigid expectations of Victorian life dissolve into the background, leaving warmth, calm, and the tender unfolding of rest. In this intimate cocoon, Eliza drifts further into sleep, carried softly on the gentle tide of night. The night stretches on in a soft, unbroken calm. Fog curled slowly through London's streets, brushing against rooftops and lampposts, softening the edges of the city into tender, dreamlike shapes. Gas lamps glow warmly, scattering gentle pools of golden light across the wet cobblestones. Every distant sound, the fading echo of a carriage, a soft footstep, the whisper of leaves in the breeze blends into a soothing rhythm, a quiet lullaby that hums through the sleeping streets. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, warmth pressing gently against her body, her head sinking softly into the pillow. The careful attentions of the Datha, precise gestures, curtsies, and measured conversation have receded into memory, leaving a calm, intimate space for reflection and gentle thought. Candlelight flickers across the walls, casting slow-moving shadows that sway in harmony with her heartbeat and the quiet pulse of the night. Her mind drifts to the quiet rhythms of her home, polished tables reflecting soft candlelight, books aligned with tender care, ornaments and flowers arranged delicately. Once acts of strict propriety, these now form a soothing cadence, a gentle meditation that guides her thoughts toward rest. Victorian rules, so strict by day, have softened into a comforting rhythm, offering calm and quiet reassurance as her body and mind prepare for sleep. Outside, the night air carries the faint fragrance of jasmine mingled with damp stone. Eliza imagines walking through a hidden garden, dew moistening her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingers. Each movement is deliberate, yet free and observed, unjudged, a private exploration of texture, scent, and the soft music of night. This imagined freedom brings serenity and gentle joy, enveloping her fully in calm and quiet. Her breathing slows, deep and even, syncing with the soft pulse of the city and the flickering candlelight in her room. Shadows stretch and sway gently, echoing her heartbeat and the steady cadence of night. The pressures of Victorian life dissolve into the background, leaving warmth, intimacy, and the tender unfolding of rest. Wrapped in this cocoon of calm and imagination, Eliza drifts further into sleep, carried softly on the quiet tide of night. The night is at its deepest. Calm and full of gentle stillness. Fog swirls softly through London's streets, curling around lampposts and rooftops, turning every edge into a tender blur. Gas lamps glow with a warm, golden light, reflecting in the puddles along the cobblestones, flickering like small, comforting stars. The city is hushed. Even the faintest sounds, a distant carriage, a soft step, the rustle of leaves feel like a lullaby, each note carrying peace and quietude across the sleeping streets. Eliza lies beneath her bed covers, warmth enveloping her body, her head sinking deeply into the pillow. The attentions of the day, curtsies, polite words, careful observation of social rules have dissolved into the background, leaving only calm, comfort, and serenity. Candlelight flickers softly across the walls, casting gentle, swaying shadows that seem to breathe along with her, a quiet rhythm syncing with the pulse of night. Her thoughts drift to the familiar, tender details of her home: polished tables, carefully aligned books, delicately arranged flowers. Once acts of propriety, these now form a soothing pattern, a gentle meditation that brings clarity, peace, and security. The structure of Victorian life, so strict and insistent by day, transforms into a tender companion, a soft rhythm that comforts and eases her mind as she rests. Outside, the air carries the faint fragrance of night-blooming flowers, mingling with damp stone. Eliza imagines walking through a hidden garden, dew wetting her skirts, petals brushing lightly against her fingers. Each movement is deliberate, yet free, unobserved, unjudged, a private exploration of texture, scent, and sound. The freedom of this imagined space fills her with calm joy and gentle serenity, enveloping her fully in rest. Her breathing deepens, slow and even, aligning with the soft pulse of the city and the flickering candlelight in her room. Shadows sway tenderly, echoing her heartbeat and the gentle cadence of night. Victorian rules, so rigid during the day, have melted into the background, leaving warmth, safety, and the slow, soothing progression of sleep. In this final cocoon of calm, Eliza drifts completely into rest, embraced by the gentle tide of night, her mind and body fully at peace. Thank you for joining this journey into the quiet, tender world of Victorian life. As you rest, let the gentle rhythms of the night and the soft unfolding of imagination guide you toward deep, peaceful sleep. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment, sharing your thoughts with others from the US, Europe, Canada, or wherever you are. No matter what time you're watching, allow yourself this calm space to breathe, to drift, and to rest. Good night, and may your dreams be soft, comforting, and filled with gentle serenity.